Fala, galerinha do Arquibancada Mack. Tô aqui numa tarde mais que especial, com um convidado mais que especial também. Eu sou o Vitor Reves, vou apresentar essa live mais que extraordinária hoje no sábado, e eu primeiro quero apresentar para vocês a estreante do dia, que é que está aqui embaixo, a Ana, que faz parte do marketing do Arquibancada. Então, por favor, pode se apresentar, Ana.
Oi, gente, boa tarde. Obrigada, Reves, pelo convite. Oi, Henrique, boa tarde. Hi, Adrian. It's a pleasure to have you as our guest here today. I hope you enjoy our live.
Thank you.
E agora, não menos importante também, o Henrique, que vocês já estão mais acostumados, eu já faço live praticamente toda segunda-feira com ele. Pode dizer o seu boa tarde e o que você quiser. No caso, pode se desmutar também.
Desculpa, eu tava mutado. Boa tarde aí todo mundo, Reves, Ana. Hi Adrian, like Anna says, a pleasure to have you with us here. And let's go to this live.
So, Adrian, please introduce yourself for the fans here in Brazil. Tell us the people who watching us.
Oh, hello everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. It's nice to be speaking to you. So my name is Adrian. I'm chair of the board at FC United of Manchester, and obviously we're a semi-professional football club playing in the Northern Premier League in England. So that would be the 7th level of English football. So the Premier League is the first level, and then you go down to the Championship, League 1, League 2, National League North and South, and then the Northern Premier League where we're in.
Bom, o Adrian estava falando que é um prazer estar aqui com a gente. Ele é o presidente do conselho do United of Manchester, que é um clube lá da Inglaterra. Eles disputam a 7ª divisão inglesa. E é isso. Então vamos começar. Você quer começar com a primeira pergunta, Ana? Desmuta. Aqui. Aí.
Personal life, and I want to know how was your childhood, and tell us how your passion for football started.
How we started? Yes. So we're a football club that was started in 2005, and some of you may know in 2005 an American, Malcolm Glazer, bought Manchester United. It was a move that was opposed by the supporters, and they tried to stop takeover. And several years before, there'd been a takeover attempt by an Australian called Rupert Murdoch, the owner of the Sky Empire. He had tried to buy Manchester United, and the supporters had got together and prevented it. But on this occasion, Glazer was able to buy the club, despite the supporters, despite the board at the time of Manchester United saying it was a bad move. And I think the supporters were particularly upset because he wasn't using his own money to buy the club. He was borrowing money from the banks. And Manchester United went overnight from being one of the most profitable, richest clubs in the world to being one of the most indebted clubs in the world. So the supporters, having tried to stop it, there was two different opinions about what should happen next. There was the supporters who felt that you should continue to go to matches and to protest. So it was the protest from within, as it was called. And you saw that with the green and gold scarf campaign. And there was a group of supporters who said that they would not give Malcolm Glazer a single penny of their money. So they said, we're not going to pay any money at all to Manchester United. They gave away their season tickets. But as supporters, you need to go to football on a Saturday. We've been going to football all our lives, for many of us, and you can't suddenly stop. And you can't go and support another club. There are a lot of other clubs in Manchester, but it didn't feel right to go and suddenly support another club. So what the supporters decided was to form our own club, FC United of Manchester, which we consider to be a continuation of Manchester United. So we don't think it's two separate clubs. We think it's the spirit of Manchester United carrying on through the supporters.
Então, o Adrian estava falando mais um pouco, né, de como, na verdade, o clube nasceu. Na verdade, Ana, você fez a pergunta, só que ficou um pouquinho pela metade, então ele acabou respondendo como o clube nasceu, que ele nasceu em 2005. o clube a partir do momento em que o empresário Malcolm Glazer, que é um empresário americano, né? Ele faleceu em 2014, esse empresário, ele comprou o Manchester United e algumas pessoas, né, um grupo de torcedores não se sentiu bem com a aquisição do clube, né? Então eles resolveram criar o United of Manchester, que, assim como ele falou, é quase como se fosse uma continuação, né? Para os torcedores do United of Manchester, não é um clube separado, é uma continuação do clube, né? Então eles resolveram abrir esse novo clube por causa que eles não queriam dar o dinheiro deles, né? Nenhum centavo, como o Adrian falou, nenhum centavo para o novo dono do Manchester United. So now it's my time. Do you still a Manchester fan, or you are 100% focused on FC United now?
Yeah, so I think for the majority of the supporters who walked away in 2005, will always be Manchester United supporters. I mean, for some people, maybe we're in their 60s, 70s, had spent over 50 years watching Manchester United, and you don't walk away from that. What we won't do is give any money to Manchester United. So, yes, we're still supporters. I still want Manchester United to win. And if someone says to me, do you support Manchester United? The answer is yes. But what I have not done since 2005 is set foot in Old Trafford. I won't give any money to the Glazer family.
Ok. Então a minha pergunta foi se ele continua torcendo para o Manchester United. Ele respondeu que sim, né? A única coisa que esse grupo de torcedores não fazem hoje em dia é dar o dinheiro para o clube, né? Porque o filho agora do Malcolm Glazer assumiu a presidência do clube, né? Ele é dono agora do clube também, então ele continua não dando dinheiro para o Manchester, mas ele continua torcendo, ou seja, ele só não vai nos jogos porque eles têm essa filosofia de não dar o dinheiro para a família Glazer. Quer fazer alguma pergunta agora, Henrique?
Yeah. So Adrian, you said us that FC United is a continuum of Manchester United. The history of FC United is about how football was developed in 18th century, with no economic ties to companies, no advisors, no money. It's a people's club. Did you ever managed to maintain that thought since the club's foundation?
So, what was the last question? Sorry.
Have you ever managed to maintain that thought since the club's foundation? That thought in the 18th century.
Yeah. So there's a song that we sing where the chorus says, "Two Uniteds, but the soul is one," as the Busby Babes carry on. So that's the spirit of the club. It's difficult. It's a people's club, very much so. Every member is a co-owner. So I am the chairman of the board, but I only own one share in the club. We have 3,000 members. Each member owns an equal share to me, and all the main decisions are taken by the supporters. So at the beginning, twice a year, we have a general meeting where the supporters can vote on the big things that you need to vote on. So, for example, how much we charge to get into the ground, the price of the ticket is voted by the supporters. The price of a season ticket, whether or not we change the shirt every year is decided by the supporters. And if they decide to change the shirt, they decide the design. So we provide 4 designs for each shirt, and the supporters vote on which one they want. And the supporters can put ideas for shirt designs as well. And if it's good enough, that will be chosen. So all the big decisions the club makes are done by the supporters. Do we have sponsors? Yes, we do. I mean, I think we are semi-professional. We have to pay our players, so you have to raise enough money to compete. But we try and do it in an ethical way. So if you look, for example, at the FC United shirt, there is no sponsorship on the shirt. So no name of a sponsor. And we have sponsors, but we try and do it the right way.
Então, Adrian, respondendo a pergunta do Henrique, né, que perguntou se o United of Manchester se aproxima mais de um clube, né, lá da época mais antiga da Inglaterra, né, no século XVIII, onde era mais popular, e ele respondeu que sim, né, as decisões do clube são completamente tomadas pelos torcedores, né, são, igual ele mencionou, são mais de 3.000 donos, né, eles não consideram só como torcedores, eles consideram realmente como donos, e eles decidem tudo, desde o design da camisa até o preço do ingresso e o preço do ticket, né, que da temporada inteira, que seria como se fosse um carnê aqui no Brasil, que você tem todos os ingressos para a temporada inteira. Então, sim, eles fazem realmente parte do clube, são eles que tomam as grandes decisões do clube, segundo o que o Adrian falou. And Adrian, why did FC United of Manchester choose not promote your sponsors on shirt?
I think it's a symbol. So as I say, we're not against sponsorship. We recognise that it's good for clubs to work with sponsors to raise money. But we felt that modern football has become too much about the sponsors, and it's a symbol. I mean, Barcelona had it for many years before they changed it recently, and it shows that although we will have sponsors, we will not go too far. So what we say is we're against overt commercialism. So sponsors is good, but not if it takes over the other things.
Olha, primeiramente eu perguntei do porquê que o United of Manchester não usa o patrocínio na camisa, né? Ele falou que é mais como se fosse um símbolo contra o futebol moderno, né? O futebol moderno ele é muito regrado com base nos patrocinadores, são eles que decidem tudo, então eles queriam ir de contramão a isso. Então essa foi a resposta.
Adrian, we see on the club's social media a lot of social actions with the community. How is the community relationship with the club since the foundation as an opposition for the biggest Manchester club? How is these actions, this community, these relationships with the community?
Okay, so legally we are set up as a community benefit society. So in law, our rules are that we must put the community at the front of everything we do. Okay, so legally we have to. That's what we want to do. The members decided that that's what they wanted. So for the first 10 years, we were nomadic. We spent 9 years in Bury, and then 1 year where we moved around several grounds. So we didn't have our own ground. So we did community work, but it was a lot more difficult because we weren't based, in our community. So when we had a ground share with Bury, it was their community, and we could do some things, but not everything because it was their area. But since 2015, we've had our own ground in North Manchester, in a place called Moston, and that's really when the community side has really taken off. So it was important before, but it's become key since we've moved to Moston. So, for example, amongst the things we're doing at the moment, since the coronavirus pandemic a year ago, we have been running a food hub where there's a lot of problems with people that have lost their jobs or are having to isolate and they can't leave the house, and we distribute food 2 times a week to about 100 families in our area. So that's one of the things that we're doing since the pandemic.
A pergunta do Henrique foi interessante, ele perguntou de como é que a gente pode ver nas redes sociais do clube, né, que eles fazem um trabalho social muito grande, né, e o Adrian estava explicando pra gente que na época, quando eles não tinham um estádio próprio, eles usavam o estádio do Bury, né, e eles não conseguiam fazer muito esse trabalho social, que agora eles podem, porque em 2015 eles abriram o estádio próprio deles, então até vocês podem conferir nas redes sociais deles, eles fazem, por exemplo, arrecadação de alimentos, assim como ele falou, por causa da pandemia, muitas pessoas ficaram sem emprego e não conseguem comprar comida, então o clube ajuda com mantimentos, e isso é uma coisa bem positiva que o clube faz.
So, Adrian, we have the first question from people who is watching, and Tom asked how the club is handling with this time without supporters in the stadium because of Corona, of course.
Yeah, so obviously last season, season before this one, was stopped in March, and then this year we actually started the season. Although, so in England there is what they call elite football and non-elite, and the first 6 divisions are elite, and we are the first division, the highest division that is not elite in the eyes of the government. So when we started football again in August, we were allowed spectators in the ground. Now our ground holds nearly 5,000 people, but we were only allowed 600 in the ground. But we played from August all the way through to November, end of November, with 600 people allowed in the ground before there was more problems with coronavirus and football stopped again. So we've had supporters in the ground, but not as many as we would like. We had to leave 1,000 supporters on average every game outside, which has been difficult. But we have had supporters.
Então, a pergunta do Tom foi interessante. Ele perguntou como é que a situação da pandemia afetou diretamente, né, a relação dos torcedores, né, indo em jogos do clube. E ele acabou respondendo que afetou bastante, porque eles estão na primeira liga, que é semiprofissional, é a maior liga da semiprofissional, né? Então, se eles chegarem na 6ª divisão, aí, no caso, é a última liga profissional. Então, como eles estão na primeira liga, a liga mais alta do semiprofissional, eles interromperam o futebol antes. O futebol começou em agosto, mas foi interrompido, e quando retornou ano passado, eles estavam na expectativa de realmente poderem ter torcedores. Eles conseguiram a liberação, né? Acho que até quem acompanha futebol lembra que na Inglaterra teve alguns casos de alguns estádios tendo torcida, eles tiveram, só que eles agora estão tendo que colocar mais ou menos 1.000 pessoas no estádio e deixar várias e várias de fora, porque o estádio cabe 4.700 pessoas, só que agora só pode 1.000 pessoas. Então, isso afetou bastante o clube.
So just to go on a bit more, so we had football with supporters, but obviously that finished in November when stricter lockdown came to England, and now our stadium is used 6 days a week for a coronavirus testing. So local residents who want to see if they have coronavirus, they can come and be tested at our stadium, and they have nurses at the stadium 6 days a week. And obviously, as I've mentioned, we have the food hub as well. Even during last year, during the first problem with coronavirus, our car park was used as a testing venue. So you could drive in your car and you could be tested from your car seat. They would put the test through the window. But now it's in the building itself, testing.
Ele falou que é muito legal isso que ele comentou, que o estádio deles está aberto para fazer testes, né, para o coronavírus. Então eles abrem o estádio, a pessoa pode ir lá de graça e fazer os testes 6 dias na semana. É só você ir com o seu carro e eles fazem o teste, além de ter também a arrecadação de comida para ajudar quem necessita.
So, Adrian, how would you describe the team? Are the players from England, or there is any player from outside England?
Yes, so at the moment they are all. When we say England, some are Welsh. You know, in England, Great Britain is divided into England, Scotland, Ireland, Republic of Ireland. It's different, but Northern Ireland. And in football, we all have our own national teams. But the majority of the players are English. The majority of players come from the area, from Manchester or from just outside Manchester. A lot of our players. So in England, professional clubs, they have academies. I'm sure they have that in Brazil from a very young age. You play with a professional academy when you're 7, 8. They find you because you're talented. They bring you to the club, and you spend maybe 10 years at the club, and then one day the manager says, "No, you're not going to make the first team." And we have a lot of players like that at FC United that have been at very high professional academies in their youth, and it's brutal. It's one day you're at Manchester United or a big club like that, and the next day you're gone. And we pick those players back up, and the majority of our team have been in one of the top 2 or 3 divisions in England through the academy, and then for whatever reason, it's a very, it's very Some make it, some don't, but most don't, and then they sort of end up playing for us.
Então, a pergunta da Ana foi a seguinte: se a maioria dos jogadores do time é inglês ou são de outros países, né? Ele acabou respondendo que a maioria dos jogadores são sim da Inglaterra ou da Escócia, mas a maioria é sempre da região de Manchester ou fora de Manchester, mas mais ou menos sempre na região de Manchester, e também são jogadores que eles estavam nas categorias de base de grandes clubes como Manchester United ou Arsenal, e eles, sabe, você chega com 7 anos, igual ele falou, aí você gasta 10 anos dentro do clube, aí um dia o treinador olha para você e fala, bom, a gente não quer mais você, e aí o jogador
I'll
fica
just
sem
say as
clube.
well, we have had one Brazilian who has played for us. So we had Adriano Brasso, who was a goalkeeper, and he's been in England for many years. He played professional football for some sides, I think in the third or fourth level of English football, and he came to us for 2 seasons. But when he came to us, he was I think he was 42 years old. So we got him right at the end of his career.
O Adrian acabou me completando, né? Ele falou que sim, eles já tiveram um jogador brasileiro, era um goleiro, e chegou para eles com 42 anos já no fim de carreira, mas ele jogou por 2 anos lá, então é legal ver que eles já tiveram sim o contato com um jogador brasileiro. Bom, e como eu estava falando, então o clube ele acaba pegando esses jogadores que foram dispensados pelos grandes clubes, como Manchester United, Manchester City e Arsenal, entre outros.
So Adrian, there's another question from Pedro, and he asked if the club already have a football academy and how it's working if you guys have it.
Yeah, so we have 70 students in our academy, and we have so they stay with us for 2 years. When they join us at 16 and they leave at 18. Obviously, the goal for all of them is to make it as a professional football player, and the first step in that is playing for our academy and then coming through to our first team, and then hopefully being noticed and going on to professional football. And we've had one player a year ago called Elliot Samoes, who joined us when he was 16. At 18, he made his debut for the first team, and about 2 months later, we sold him to Barnsley, who are in the Championship, so the second level of English football. So that's the dream, and he's now a professional footballer, and we helped him on that journey. So that's the dream for the players. We've also had a player called Tundi Oluwabi, who went through our academy, but wasn't quite ready to make the first team at the end when he was 18. So he left the club, but then he came back a year ago, and he was the top scorer in any of the 7 top divisions in England with us. And then we sold him to Hamilton in the Scottish Premier League last summer. So it's possible to come through our academy and go on to big things. We have 70 students at the moment, and what we do with all of them, not all of them are going to make it as a footballer, but they get an education as well. It's a thing called a BTEC. So they leave us with an education, with a qualification that they can take later on into life, and the best ones will make it as footballers.
Bom, a pergunta do Rubner foi se o time tinha uma categoria de base. Ele respondeu que sim, o time tem uma categoria de base com mais de 70 alunos, e ele diz, né, que até os 17 anos eles ficam na categoria de base, com 18 eles sobem para o time profissional, né, jogam alguns jogos, muitas vezes jogam 2 meses no time profissional ali e acabam indo para outros clubes, né. Ele citou, por exemplo, o caso de um jogador que eles conseguiram vender para o Burnley, que é um time da segunda divisão da Inglaterra, e outro também que tinha 18 anos, fez alguns jogos, né? Foi o artilheiro do time com 17 gols na 7ª divisão, e eles venderam esse jogador para a Escócia, para um time lá da Escócia.
So Adrian, talk about the beginning of the club. In 2010, Sir Alex Ferguson said in an interview he was sorry about the supporters who created the new club and questioned about their passion for Man United. How did you, the other founders, and these new supporters of FC United take this situation since he's one of the biggest idols for Manchester?
Yeah, one of the songs we sang after that was, and Fergie said, "Go and watch Chelsea. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh?" You know, it was a very difficult time because there was a lot of arguments between Manchester United supporters about FC United. There were people who called us traitors. They said you've walked away from your club, and our argument was that Malcolm Glazer never once went to watch a Manchester United match. He wasn't interested in Manchester United. It was purely about the money, and you could our argument was that you could protest every game, but he didn't care as long as he kept getting your money because that's the only thing he was interested in. And we said the only way to stop Glazer is to take his money away. But some people agreed, some didn't agree, and it was a very difficult subject for probably 2-3 years. It was hard. Friends fell out. Friends that had been going to watch Manchester United for maybe 20 years together, from one day to another, stopped speaking to each other, and it was a tough time. Fergie had been a bit of a hero for all of us, and I think as a manager, I think every FC United fan still respects him. He's probably, with Matt Busby, the two greatest managers Manchester United have ever had. As a person, maybe a little bit less after what he said.
Bom, então a pergunta foi bem interessante porque o Alex Ferguson, que foi, acho que para mim pelo menos, né, um dos maiores técnicos do futebol e um dos maiores técnicos do Manchester, disse que ele se sentia triste da parte da torcida ter criado outro clube, né, de ter ido embora, e o Adrian acabou comentando que realmente foi uma época difícil, né, eles foram considerados traidores por terem saído do clube, né, muitas vezes, né, um amigo que eles tinham há 20 anos vendo futebol juntos, simplesmente do dia para a noite parou de falar com eles, eles foram considerados traidores, mas mesmo assim eles acabaram continuando, né? Mas ele fala, né, que não dá para crucificar o Sir Alex Ferguson, porque ele foi um dos dois maiores técnicos da história do Manchester United. Então, ele falou, como treinador, um grande homem, né? Mas ele poderia ter sabido lidar melhor com essa situação.
So, Adrian, he asked here, all the major stars, what is the biggest source of income for FC United?
Okay, so we do have sponsors, as I say, not on the shirt, but we have sponsors at the club. We try and have the right sorts of sponsors. So we don't have a gambling company or things like that. We try and have local, if possible, Manchester sponsors. So we do have some sponsors, but at our level, there is no television money. So our matches are not televised, and there's limited sponsorship. Where we get most of our money is from the supporters. So we have nearly 2,000 supporters at every match normally, not this year, but normally we have just under 2,000 at every match. So we make our money from season tickets. So we have 1,000 people normally that buy a season ticket every year. So that's guaranteed money for the whole season. We make our money from people paying. So 1,000 people on average will come to the game and just pay as they arrive. And then during the game, we are allowed to serve alcohol in the stands, so people can buy a beer, stand watching the match, having a drink. So that brings in a lot of money as well. So those are the main, and people buying programs, buying shirts, things like that. So that's the main match day income. And then we have outside the stadium, we have a 3G pitch, which we hire. And also the stadium itself, there are two bar areas, function areas. So we sell that as well. So people can have their wedding, they can have a birthday party, or they can do things during. I mean, we had again, everything stopped at the moment with coronavirus, but we have if you have an issue when you're driving, if you drive too fast and you get caught and you have to go for a special course before they let you drive again, we have that in the past 5 days a week at the stadium, so that brings in regular money.
Então Tava comentando mais um pouco de como eles conseguem o dinheiro, né? E eles acabam arrecadando dinheiro muito por conta dos tickets vendidos, né? Que seriam os ingressos vendidos para cada partida, assim como eles também vendem bebidas alcoólicas no estádio, então eles também arrecadam muito dinheiro com as bebidas no clube, né? E tem outras coisas, eles têm 2 bares ativos dentro do clube e você também pode comprar as coisas lá, eles vendem camisa, e isso seria um dia normal no jogo, né? Essa é a fonte de renda principal que o clube tem. And now, do you think
So,
Oh, okay, okay.
it's my turn. So, Adrian, as you said, Corona had a big impact on the club. And what are your future plans and expectations about the club in the next season?
Okay, so we've just found out this week that our season's over. So this season it's finished. Although maybe we have a women's team, and we're still waiting to hear. They may be able to play on. It's a little bit different at the level they play. They are at the 5th level of English women's football, but it's not the same. It's not professional at that level, so they may be able to play into the summer. But for the men's team, it's finished. So what I think we're quite optimistic in this country because we've probably been one of the countries in the world that's had the quickest vaccine rollout for coronavirus. So, for example, they've announced this week that everyone over the age of 40 in this country will have had been offered a vaccine by the end of April. And by the end of, I think they said by the end of June or July, they're hoping to have vaccinated every adult in this country. So next season is not due to start until, pre-season is meant to start at the beginning of July, and then the league season at the beginning of August. By the time next season starts, we're hopeful that every adult in the UK will have had a vaccine or been offered a vaccine. So we're hoping, who knows, but we're hoping that the problems we've had the last 2 years won't be as bad next year because of the vaccines.
Então, a pergunta foi qual que era o plano para o futuro do clube, né? E ele acabou falando que ontem saiu uma decisão da Federação Inglesa, eles acabaram com o campeonato e provavelmente vai voltar só depois das vacinas, né? Eles anunciaram, a Inglaterra anunciou que eles pretendem vacinar todas as pessoas acima de 40 anos até o final de abril e todas as pessoas, todos os adultos do país até no máximo junho ou julho, né? Então ele disse que ele espera que comece em agosto, né? Que é quando realmente começa o campeonato no país, né? Vão fazer a pré-temporada, se for possível, mas ele realmente espera que comece a temporada em agosto, em definitivo. And
So
Adrian, okay.
just to carry on, as a club, there's not so much we can do because we have to do what the league, want us to do. I know the league are talking about probably starting the season 2 weeks earlier next season, so we have a little bit more leeway if things happen again in the winter. And also, probably the biggest issue is there's not been any rules. The Football Association in England have not had any rules for what happens if the season can't be played in full. And the first year that was understandable because no one expected a worldwide coronavirus epidemic. But this year there probably could have been some more planning about what to do if we don't play all the games. And certainly we're hearing at the moment from the Football Association, from our league, that for next season there will be some more what they're calling contingency plans. So if we can't play 100% of the season, can we stop the season on 50%, 60%? And just so that we know what we want is to start next season knowing what happens if we can't finish it, which we haven't had for the last 2 years.
Bom, ele estava me complementando falando também que eles esperam que a Federação Inglesa possa fazer um plano melhor, né, a respeito do coronavírus, porque na última temporada ninguém estava esperando por isso, né? Então eles esperam agora que a federação ela consiga ter mais organização, por exemplo, vamos parar o campeonato com mais ou menos 60, 40 ou 50% do campeonato já feito, porque eles terminaram o campeonato muito cedo ainda, né? Para você ter noção, o segundo colocado só tinha 19 pontos, né? Nessa temporada. Então eles esperam que seja um pouco mais organizado essa próxima temporada. And Adrian, do you think the modern football is a football without any passion, where the only thing that matters is the money?
I think there are issues with modern football. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes there's fantastic passion, but I think first of all the price of a ticket in the Premier League is so high that you're excluding a whole section of the population. Football was developed as a working class sport. It's not a working class sport in the Premier League. A parent with one or two children can maybe afford to take them to watch Manchester United maybe once, twice a season, and that's it. Because if you have 60, 70 pounds for a ticket, and there's two, three of you, and then you have to buy the drinks, the merchandise, you're spending hundreds of pounds on just going to watch one match of football, and most people can't afford that. So I think it's no longer a working class game at the top. So that brings a different kind of fan. For you have a lot of supporters that instead of going every week, they go maybe once a season, and it's like it's a big occasion for them. They'll buy lots of stuff in the shop. So Manchester United, they love that, but they may be not the passionate fans we used to have in the past. And obviously in England, the stadiums, there was an awful tragedy at Hillsborough where a lot of supporters died on a terrace, and that brought in all-seater stadiums. In some ways that's good because obviously it's a lot safer, but in other ways, in the old days we used to have thousands of people stood together, friends could stand together, cheer, shout, jump around. Now it's very sanitized. You can't pick who you sit with. It's often your friends are sat at different parts of the stadium, and you can't jump and you can't run around, and it's very, very different. You can't drink a beer in the stadium anymore, watching the game at the higher level. So it's, and also the new stadiums, they're fantastic to watch football. If you're sat in your seat, you've got a perfect view. And in the old days, you often didn't have perfect views. But the stadiums are not great for atmosphere. They all look the same. They're all, like every stand is the same. And yeah, modern football, I suppose it's become it's something you watch. It's not something you participate in like you used to in the old days. But that it had some good points. But for me, as someone who grew up at a time where I could still go and stand at football and everything, I look back on those days and it was great. And we still have that in non-league football, so that's the advantage of the non-league game that we play.
Bom, a minha pergunta para ele foi se o futebol moderno é um futebol sem paixão e o que manda hoje em dia é o dinheiro. E ele respondeu que antigamente você podia fazer bem mais coisas, assim como tomar uma cerveja no estádio, ir com seu amigo, tinha mais gente no estádio mesmo, você podia gritar, você podia pular, você realmente podia torcer. Hoje em dia o preço do ingresso, por exemplo, é muito caro, não é todo mundo que pode pagar, é para um público diferente hoje em dia. Se a pessoa paga, é muito ocasionalmente, praticamente uma um outro movimento para ela, como é que eu poderia traduzir? Seria, deixa eu só ver aqui, que agora dá uma travada. É como se fosse um evento especial. É um evento especial para a pessoa. Então, essa é a questão dele, né? O dinheiro está muito alto, você hoje em dia não pode tomar cerveja no estádio, você não pode mais cantar, você não pode mais pular. Ele falou assim que para assistir jogos de futebol, os estádios modernos são maravilhosos, porque você tem uma visão completa, você realmente consegue ver, porque todo mundo fica sentado, então todo mundo assiste sossegado. Só que para torcer já não é mais legal, não tem uma atmosfera legal. Ele falou que hoje em dia você assiste um jogo de futebol, você só assiste no estádio, você não torce.
So I think, if you go and watch FC United, firstly, you can decide whether you're going on the day. So you can pay on the day to go into the ground, and then you can stand with your friends. We don't have any reserved spaces in the ground. So there are seats and they're standing, but it's first come, first served for where you go. And then, as I say, you can have a beer during the game. And it's things like the players, I think when I was growing up as a child, you could still see the players in the community. You could see them at the local pub. You could see them walking in the street. Nowadays, the players live in really expensive areas. you don't see them anymore. If you're lucky, if you're a child growing up, you might stand for 1 or 2 hours before a game, just hoping that the player will arrive and sign a piece of paper for you when you can't even read what their name is on the signature. Whereas at FC United, after the game, the players, they come and have a drink with the supporters. They're in the bar. They stay for maybe an hour or so. If the supporters are singing, the players will sing with the supporters. We have that bond that used to be there, even at the highest clubs, even at Manchester United. But now you don't see any more in modern football.
Pô, ele tava falando que hoje em dia você pode ir no estádio do United of Manchester e comprar um ingresso ali na hora. Você pode sentar no mesmo lugar que o seu amigo, que é uma das reclamações dele, né? Você não pode sentar junto com o seu amigo hoje em dia, porque os ingressos têm carteira marcada, assim como é no Brasil, né? Então os amigos não podem ficar mais juntos hoje em dia, e no estádio deles não é assim. Você pode chegar no dia, comprar um ingresso com seu amigo, tomar uma cerveja na arquibancada, ver um jogo, realmente se divertir. E ele fala até que é legal porque você consegue ver realmente os torcedores na rua, né, os jogadores também na rua, né? E assim que acabam os jogos, o jogador ele vai lá e começa a beber com o torcedor no bar, sabe? Então realmente tem uma proximidade muito maior do jogador para com o torcedor. Enquanto em contrapartida, num clube grande, o jogador ele só mora em uma área muito cara, né? E aí o torcedor que quer pegar algum autógrafo tem que às vezes viajar 2 horas porque mora muito longe do estádio para pegar uma assinatura numa folha de papel com o jogador nem olhando na sua cara direito.
So Adrian, in one of the videos that you sent to Victor, you said you travel a lot throughout the games all over Europe, supporting Man United. Tell us which was the most memorable and why. Most memorable game, country, and situation that you passed.
I think that's very easy. I don't even have to think about that. In 1999, Manchester United they won the treble. In the new camp in Barcelona, they beat Bayern Munich, and I was there for that. So I think for any supporter that was there that day, that's you can't beat it. We were 1-0 down with in injury time. The game was about to end, and 4 minutes later we'd won 2-1. And it was to win the treble. I mean, the treble had never been done in England. So to win the league, the FA Cup, and the Champions League had never been done by a club. And we won the league on the last day of the season. We had to beat Tottenham Hotspur, Spurs, and we went 1-0 down and then won. So that was really exciting. The FA Cup was quite easy against Newcastle, and then we went to the new camp, and they estimate that about 100,000 Manchester United fans went to Barcelona. So it was just amazing. Everywhere you looked, most didn't have tickets, but probably about 50,000 managed to get into the ground in the end. And Bayern Munich were the better team, and we'd had a great season. We thought, well, we've won 2, the double. That's great, but it looks like we're going to lose the Champions League final. And as I say, it was injury time. The fourth official had already put up the sign saying, that it was injury time, and we scored 2 goals and won it. And the scenes that day were crazy, absolutely crazy in the stadium.
Bom, a pergunta do Henrique foi qual que foi o momento mais marcante para ele, né, como torcedor do United, porque ele também já viajou atrás do Manchester na Europa, e ele falou que facilmente foi a final de 99 da Champions League, que foi realizada no Camp Nou contra o Bayern de Munique, né? O Manchester estava perdendo, faltando 4 minutos para acabar o jogo, eles conseguiram empatar e depois viraram para 2-1 o jogo. Ele falou que foi uma loucura, tinha muito torcedor do Manchester, aonde você olhava tinha torcedor do Manchester no Camp Nou. Ele falou que realmente foi uma das melhores temporadas do Manchester, porque ganhou a Premier League, ganhou a FA Cup e também ganhou a Champions League, né? Então eles conseguiram fazer a tríplice coroa, que a gente chama aqui no Brasil.
So, Adrian, as we know, in Premier League, we have a bunch of Brazilian players there, like Thiago Silva, Firmino, and Richarlison. Would you like to see a Brazilian player in FC United, and who would be?
Well, as I say, we've had a goalkeeper, so that we've had one. we're short of a striker at the moment that's going to score 20 goals a season. So maybe a bit old now, but Ronaldo in his prime would have been good, or someone like that, maybe Ronaldinho or someone like that. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure they'd even have heard of FC United.
Bom, a pergunta da Ana foi um tanto quanto interessante. Ela perguntou se eles gostariam de ter algum brasileiro como o Richarlison, o Thiago Silva ou o Firmino, né, que são brasileiros da Premier League. E ele falou que gostaria de ter o Ronaldo na época na época do auge do Ronaldo, o Ronaldinho. Ele falou, não sei se viriam para cá, mas ele gostaria de ter esses jogadores lá.
There's a team that plays. I think they're 1 or 2 divisions below us, but we played them in the past when we were on the way up. Called Garforth, and they are in Yorkshire, so they are about an hour away from Manchester, and they play in the same colours as the Brazilian national team. And in the past, they've had Socrates play for them, and one of the other big Brazilian names, because their owner, he had some soccer schools in Brazil. And in the 80s, he invited some of the biggest names in Brazilian football that were a bit old. They weren't playing for the national team anymore, to come and play. And you go into their clubhouse, into their bar, and you see signed framed shirts from Pelé, Socrates. I can't remember now. There was another really big Brazilian name that played for them, and it's really funny. It's a small, very small club that's lower division than us, but they play in the Brazilian colours. So yeah, look that up on the internet. Garforth Town.
Bom, ele falou que tem um time algumas divisões abaixo, né, 2 divisões abaixo, chamado Garfield Town, que realmente convidou jogadores brasileiros, né, como o Sócrates, para jogar. O dono do clube conseguiu algumas assinaturas do Sócrates e de alguns outros jogadores da época da seleção brasileira e convidou os jogadores para jogar pelo clube deles, uma partida amistosa, e realmente eles foram lá jogar, e no bar deles tem camisa assinada pelo Sócrates, pelo Pelé, entre outros brasileiros.
So Adrian, Tony is asking if the FC United plays like other cups, like FA Cup, and how is the feeling of playing against this big team?
Okay, so yes, we play in the FA Cup, but the FA Cup has what they call preliminary rounds. So it's televised from the first round onwards, but we have to play. We have to win 4 matches to get to the first round. So this year we did. This year we got to the first round, and we played Doncaster, who were one of the top teams in League One, so the 3rd level of English football. So what happens is, in the first round, you have the professional teams from League One and League Two, so the 3rd and 4th level of English football come in the first round. They play the second round as well, and then the Premier League and the Championship come in at the 3rd round. So for us to get to a Premier League team, we would have to win 6 matches. It's never happened. We've got as far as the second round before, and we lost to Brighton, who are now a very strong team. But this year we played Doncaster, and they were probably the best team in League One, so in the 3rd level of English football at the time. We played live on. We were the chosen match for the live television coverage, so we had 1.5 million people watching the game on television. Unfortunately, no fans in the stadium because it had to be closed doors at that point. And we lost 5-1. They were too good for us.
Bom, ele disse que sim, eles disputam a FA Cup, mas eles têm que passar por um processo bem antes, né, para entrar na primeira fase ainda da FA Cup. Eles disputam entre os times das divisões inferiores, né, que eles estão, 6ª, 5ª, 7ª divisão, 8ª divisão, para aí sim chegar na primeira parte da FA Cup, que aí eles disputam com os times, por exemplo, da 4ª divisão e da 3ª divisão, e esse ano eles conseguiram chegar até a primeira fase, né, e acabaram sendo derrotados pelo Doncaster, que é um time da 3ª divisão, perdão, que é um dos melhores times. Eles acabaram perdendo por 5-1, e para chegar até os clubes da Premier League você teria que passar até a 3ª fase, são mais de 6 jogos que o clube precisaria disputar para realmente enfrentar alguém da Premier League.
So in our 15 years of playing, we have made the first round of the FA Cup on 3 occasions, and on one of those we made it to the second round. So it doesn't happen. For us, it happens every 5 years. We did it we did it this year. We did it 5 years ago. We did it 10 years ago. So every 5 years we make it to the first round.
Ele falou que demora de mais ou menos 5 em 5 anos para eles conseguirem entrar só na primeira fase, né, da FA Cup. Eles conseguiram entrar agora e há 10 anos atrás eles também conseguiram, e depois, né, há 5 anos, né, 15 anos atrás, no caso, eles também conseguiram, então vai mais ou menos nessa pegada, né, de 5 em 5 anos eles acabam conseguindo chegar na primeira fase da FA Cup.
Adrian, have you ever watched any Brazilian football team, or do you know any of them? Because in the past few years, we have some of them playing against British clubs like Corinthians in 2012 against Chelsea in the finals of FIFA World Cup, or Flamengo in 2019 against Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean the Copa Libertadores is shown in England, but it's at bad times for us. It's on very late at night, so I don't really watch it. I have been to Brazil though to watch football. I went to watch the World Cup when it was in Brazil, and I went to the 3 England games. Unfortunately, England didn't do very well, and we were eliminated. But it was a fantastic experience to watch football in Brazil. I think, Glo, you talk about modern football. Although it was fantastic, I don't think I got the full experience of watching a game in Brazil, because the World Cup was, I think, probably very different in terms of who went to the games and the atmosphere to what it would be like in normal times. So I'd love to go back and see a proper atmosphere at a Brazilian game.
Bom, a pergunta foi se ele já tinha assistido algum jogo de algum time brasileiro, né, assim como o Corinthians ou o Flamengo, que chegaram na final do Mundial de Clubes, e ele disse que ele já foi, ele veio, na verdade, para a Copa do Mundo assistir a Inglaterra, que não foi muito bem aqui na Copa do Mundo do Brasil, mas que ele tem muita vontade de voltar para realmente ver como é que é a atmosfera de um jogo aqui do Brasil, né? Ele realmente tem vontade de assistir um jogo de um clube daqui.
Pedro is asking if you dream about one day see Manchester United against United of Manchester, and which club would you support if this game happened?
We get asked that a lot by media and people. No, is the answer categorically. It'd be a nightmare, because remember, we've said not a penny to Manchester United, and if I went to the match, I'd have to give some money to go to the game, and it would be awful. I think if we played Manchester United, I think very few of our fans would go. I don't think they'd want to go because of the not giving a penny to Manchester United. It's also, I would never want to be an away fan at Old Trafford. I was so many times a home fan at Old Trafford. To go there as an away fan and to go there against Manchester United would be terrible. We dream of getting to the 3rd round of the FA Cup and getting Manchester City, getting Liverpool, getting Leeds, one of the old rivals that we used to have. That would be amazing. That's what we dream about, going to Anfield as an away fan and winning against Liverpool. That would be the dream, not Manchester United.
Bom, ele falou que a primeira pergunta do Rubner foi se ele tem o sonho do Manchester United de enfrentar um dia o United of Manchester, e ele falou que não, definitivamente não, porque seria contra as crenças deles, né? Porque eles teriam que dar dinheiro para o Manchester United para assistir o jogo. Então, ele realmente não quer que isso aconteça, porque, assim como ele falou, antigamente ele ia para o Old Trafford, que é o estádio do Manchester, como fã, para realmente assistir o jogo e tudo mais, mas hoje em dia não é mais assim. Eles realmente não querem dar dinheiro para o Manchester United por tudo que aconteceu com o Malcolm Glazer, e acho que é isso. Ele respondeu só que basicamente o sonho deles é chegar na 3ª rodada da FA Cup e jogar contra o Manchester City, contra o Liverpool, e esse é o maior sonho para eles.
So Adrian, now we did some short questions for you, and you're gonna answer only short answers. Go ahead.
It's like a mini game. Uh, would you rather see Manchester win all competitions or see FC United enter in fourth division?
FC United.
Who is the best, Pele or Sir Bob Charlton?
Pele.
Who is your favorite player?
My favourite player of all time was Eric Cantona.
Okay, Van der Sar or Peter Schmeichel?
Schmeichel.
Would you rather win a World Cup or a Champions League?
Well, World Cup. I've seen Manchester United win the Champions League, but England have never won it in my lifetime. So let's say World Cup.
Would you either to make progress step by step or to be supported by a big sponsorship?
Step by step.
David Beckham or Rooney?
Beckham.
Would you rather see France not qualified for the World Cup or see Manchester City relegated to the second division?
Manchester City relegated.
And what FC United represents for you?
For me, it's my club, and I don't say that because I'm the chairman of the club. I say that because all supporters can say that.
Bom, então a gente fez um joguinho rápido com ele, perguntando algumas coisas, por exemplo, se ele gostaria de ver o Manchester United ganhar todas as competições ou ver o United of Manchester entrar na quarta divisão, que é o futebol profissional. Ele falou que gostaria de ver o time dele na quarta divisão. Pelé ou Sir Bob Charlton, que é um grande ídolo da história do Manchester, ele falou que prefere o Pelé. O jogador favorito dele é o Eric Cantona. Van der Sar ou Peter Schmeichel, que são dois grandes goleiros da história do United, ele falou que ele prefere o Schmeichel. E se ele prefere ver uma Copa do Mundo ou uma Champions League, como ele já foi para uma Champions League, ele prefere ver a Inglaterra ganhando uma Copa do Mundo. E o que ele prefere? Que o clube dele vá avançando, né, degrau por degrau sozinho ou ter um grande patrocinador por trás. Ele falou que prefere ver o clube dele avançando sozinho. Ele prefere o David Beckham em vez do Rooney. E também se ele gostaria de ver o Manchester City rebaixado ou a França fora da Copa. Ele prefere, obviamente, por toda a história, o Manchester City rebaixado. E ele falou que o clube dele, o United of Manchester, representa tudo para ele. So, I really, really appreciated this interview with you. I'm really enjoyed. It's a great pleasure to be here with my friends and you. Thank you very much.
And if anybody watching wants to come to watch a game, if you're ever in England, then
Yeah,
please do come and watch us. We'd love to see you there. Let me know before you come, and I'll show you around the ground.
for sure.
Thank you, Adrian, for having us today. I really appreciate that. It was such a nice interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. It's an amazing interview. The history of FC United is amazing too. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bom, ele falou que ele agradece por a gente ter recebido ele também. Espero que vocês tenham gostado dessa live, uma live totalmente diferente com um convidado internacional. E, bom, a gente continua com a nossa programação normal na semana que vem, lives todos os dias. Espero que vocês tenham realmente gostado. Sigam a gente nas redes sociais, no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, aqui no canal do Arquibancada. Se inscrevam. E é isso daí. A gente fica com mais uma live por aqui.
Let me say something. Adrian, do you want to share FC United social media here, your Instagram and those things?
Off the top of my head, so yeah, just Google it. We have quite a lot of funny enough, we have a lot of Brazilians that follow us on Instagram. I'm too old for Instagram, but we had ESPN Brazil that did a show from our ground, and the next day we had 1,000 more followers on Instagram. It was quite amazing. But just put us on Google and you'll find us.
Bom, ele falou que é só procurar eles pelo Google que vocês vão achar as redes sociais deles. Ele falou que tem muito brasileiro seguindo o time, por causa que a ESPN aqui do Brasil fez um programa do campo deles e do dia para noite eles já tinham mais de um monte de 1.000 seguidores, né, brasileiros. Então é só vocês darem um Google United of Manchester que vocês vão achar as redes sociais deles. Como eu disse, espero que vocês realmente tenham gostado. Então fiquem bem e até a semana que vem.